Wednesday I tune in and tell you what I'm doing in the Accelerated Leadership Program. So it's exciting to have her actually live to share some exciting things with you. So I don't want to take much time. I'm just super excited. I found a ride for my oldest. He's still at the ballpark. I'm like, I gotta go home. So,
it's like he's hitchhiking home because you wanted to get to this call, right? No.
Right.
Heck yeah.
So I'm excited to see everybody on. So we're excited to have you with us, Lisa. Thank you.
Me too. And you and I were talking the other day about like, what can I do on this call? Like, what do I want to share? And so, I thought I could talk about specific things, or I could actually ask you guys, what are you struggling with? What would you like me to share with you? What do you want to talk about? I mean, I could talk about lots of different, I have like a little, kind of like a little mini webinar that I do on new and not so new concepts, where they're just throwing out some new and crazy ideas, which I could do that with you, or we could actually just talk and you could ask me questions. So I just want it to be as formal or as informal as you guys want it to be. So it's up to you.
It's up to you guys. What are you guys looking for tonight?
Don't be shy.
They're going to be shy.
I know, they always are. So maybe we leave it up to you girls, to Melissa and Shelly. Like, what do you think you guys need? What would you like to hear about? Do you want me to kind of throw out some new and not so new concepts and see if that sparks?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, I can listen to you every day.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually share some slides, because I love, this is actually one of the little webinars that I really love, because it's super fun, because there are a lot of disjointed concepts. So let me just really quickly share my screen.
Will it let you? Is it letting you?
It will.
Perfect.
And I'm going to start from the beginning. There we go. Cool. So the goal is tonight that I just kind of want to put out a lot of different avenues of thought, because if anybody's ever coached with me before, and some of you have and some of you haven't, and some of you don't even know who the heck I am, but if you've ever heard me speak before, you know that I love to just plant little seeds, and I love to give you little nuggets. And then the goal is that you grasp onto one of them and you're like, oh man, Lisa, I can totally take that and do something with it. So just to kind of give you guys a quick overview of me, I'm not going to go into some belabored story, but the reason I'm here at Scentsy is because I really wanted to be with a company that I really connected with and who had similar values and a similar mission. And I've been in direct sales for many years. So I was in the independent side, the independent consultant side of direct sales for several years, went completely corporate away from direct sales for a period of time, and then went back into the corporate side of direct sales for, the last 12 years. So I've walked your walk. I know what you guys experience, and I make it a point to really spend a lot of time in the field, so I stay up to date on everything that's going on out there. I love to observe a lot of competitors' parties, so I'm always at somebody's party, whether it's your party or whether it's a 31 party or Stella and Dot party or an Origami Owl party or some other party that just kind of helps me kind of see what's going on out there. And I'm in lots of focus groups with other people that are in other direct sales companies that are peers and friends of mine. So let me kind of give you some little new and not so new concepts. And the goal is that over the course of tonight, maybe your head will explode like in the slide. And maybe you'll get something that you're like, wow, I can really run with this. So let me start. I love to start my webinars with a story. It's 9 o'clock, a little bit after 9. So let's do some story hour. So, oops, maybe we're going to do story hour, or maybe we're not. Okay. So once upon a time, there was a consultant who started a business. And I got to tell you, this consultant had big dreams, and they just wanted so much out of their business. And each day this consultant dreamed of all the amazing things that they would achieve in their business and in their life. And things were rolling along. And then what happened? Life got in the way. Now you can probably you've all probably experienced this, or you have people on your teams that have experienced it. things are rolling along, and then, man, something from life just plummets you. And here's the moral of the story, you guys. The moral of the story is that life will always get in your way. It's always going to get in your way because life is always going to happen, but only if you let it. Only if you let it. And oftentimes we have so much more control over the things that happen in our life than we actually really think we do. And so one of the best ways for you and your teams to really focus on the business and kind of work around those things in life that were thrown at us, especially for leaders. And this is a great concept to know. When your consultants don't have a strong support structure in place, life is going to derail them every single time because they don't have any support. They're like this lone island out there. So I want you to think about whether it's you or whether it's your consultants, what does your home support structure look like? You know, who is supporting you? Because you guys are the CEOs of your company, right? But here's the cool thing. Every good CEO, every amazing CEO has a board of directors that they answer to. So I want to ask you, who is on your board of directors? Who are those people that support you in your business that are in that support structure? Because the reality is, when I was in the field, I was an independent contractor. I was the CEO of my company. But guess who my board of directors were, you guys? My board of directors were my family, were my husband, my kids. They were my board of directors. And I got to tell you, if your board of directors ain't happy, nobody's happy. So if they're not happy with the way that you're running the business, the time that you're putting into it, the time that you're spending away from them, then nobody's happy. So the best piece of advice that I can give you as far as your board of directors is to get your board on board. Get your board on board with your business. And the way that you can do this, one of the easiest ways, so if you have a consultant who's really struggling, the first question you want to ask is, who's on your board of directors? How are they supporting you? And what I would do when I was in the field is every month we would have a board meeting. And I would bring my family together and we'd say, okay, what are we all working for in this business? What are we all together collectively? What do we want out of this business? Because if we were all working on something together, then nobody was working against me. You know, they weren't working against me. I wasn't working against them. There was no passive aggression going on where my husband was doing little because he didn't like the fact that I was going out. It was huge for me. So what is your family working for? What is the board of directors working for? Now, you might all be working together for an incentive trip if it's a family incentive trip. Maybe you're all working together for different things. Maybe it's, mom and dad want to earn the incentive trip, but the kids can't go on the incentive trip. So what are the kids going to work for? Well, the kids, if they help do X, Y, and Z in the business, then they get some piece of the pie. They get some little trinket. They get something that they're working for so that they feel like, wow, you're all collectively achieving something. And the cool thing about the board of directors concept is when you really look at your family and you say, my family's my board, or it doesn't even have to be your family, your immediate family. You can be a single person in this business, but yet you have girlfriends or a guy friend that really helps you, that really you bounce ideas off of. It's really whoever supports you in the business. And when everybody wins, when everybody gets something, it makes it so much bigger. Because the reality is, this is a home-based business. You're working your business out of your home, regardless of what you want to say. So it is a family business. If you're working your business out of your home, you're in the family business. And so one little nugget I want to plant tonight is, when you have consultants that struggle, before you go talk about goals, before you talk about their why, before you find out, what's going on in their business, start and focus first with what their support structure looks like. Because if somebody in their family is working against them, that's typically the first little ripple that you start to see in their business. So that's nugget number one. Any questions, any comments you want to share before I go on to my little nugget number two? You're also very quiet and smiling and okay. Nugget number two. One of the other ways that you really kick your business off and stay in the business and really feel like things are happening is the passion that you have for the business. There are 4 pillars of success in anything that we do in life. I've been coaching to 4 pillars, for many, many years. The 4 pillars are belief, passion, skill, and will. Belief, passion, skill, and will. And belief and passion will almost always get you further than skill ever will. You can be the most unskilled person in the world, but if you believe in what you're doing and you have passion about it, everybody else will come along for the ride. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person. You don't have to know all about Scentsy wax. You don't have to know the temperature of the warmers. You don't have to know anything. You just have to get excited about it. And so I want you to think about this. Relative to your business, in order to stay excited, in order to have those 2 solid pillars in place of those 4 pillars, I want you to think about this concept. What is your tennis ball? What's your tennis ball when relative to Scentsy? What gets you so stinking excited, like this little dog in this picture, that if I threw this ball to this dog 450 times, that dog is going to get that ball and run back to me on the 450th time with the same excitement and passion as it did on the first throw? What gets you so stinking excited about this business that is what's going to drive you and help you build your personal brand? You know, what do you live for? What do you get up in the morning for? How can you relate that to the business? What do you love so much about this business that you are willing to put it on a t-shirt? That you would post it you would shout it from the rooftops? What would you write on your t-shirt if you had something on your t-shirt that you would share with the world about the passion that you have for the business? Think about that. That's a really strong, powerful question. Because when you can put it on a t-shirt, that's really what defines you. That's really what defines your business. And that's truly the passion that you have that gets you up in the morning, right? You know, what you would put on a t-shirt. You know, what would each and every person on this call actually say, you know what, I'm so committed to, it's my focus. You know, my t-shirt would say, each day, we all have the opportunity to be a powerful force for good in the lives of others and in the world. That's my t-shirt. Every single day when I wake up, I look in the mirror and I say, what am I going to do today to do great things that inspire other people to be a powerful force so that they can, you know, that they're empowered to achieve their dreams and goals. So each day, each one of us wakes up and has the ability to be a powerful force for others in the lives of others and in the world. What do you put on your t-shirt that defines you and gets you so excited that it really drives everything you have in this business? So we talked about your board of directors for support. We've talked about the passion you have for the business and what's on your t-shirt. So naturally, I'm going to progress into something that many of us struggle with in this business. And we like to call this a lot of different things. We like to call it inviting. We like to call it joining. We like to call it offering, sponsoring. And the reality is, you guys, it's recruiting. It's recruiting. We recruit every day in this business. We recruit every day in our lives. We recruit people to be our friends. We recruit people to work and do our lawn service. We recruit people every day, but for some reason, when it comes to direct sales, it scares us. So if recruiting is like, if you think about recruiting and you think about, oh my gosh, it's like the zombies, like I'm so afraid to talk to people. What I want to share with you tonight is, when you put recruiting into perspective, it shouldn't be scary at all. Because the reality is, recruiting is really about expanding your pipeline and making friends that you can do business with. And that is a powerful concept, because recruiting is really about making new friends, about being nice to people, about connecting with other people that you meet. And then here's the kicker that many of us leave out: reconnecting with them to find out how we can get in touch with them again and continue the relationship. And so often we don't do that. We kind of dangle things out there and we never really pull it back. And so that's why we're not as successful in recruiting as we could be. I can speak to recruiting very passionately because I've recruited thousands of people in my time in direct sales, sometimes to the tune of 30, 60, and 90 in a month. So I'm a passionate recruiter because I know this direct sales channel is so powerful. And what makes me really excited is the company that Scentsy is. It should be so easy for all of us to recruit as many people as we just have to be really passionate about it, right? What would be on our t-shirt. We have to put it into perspective and say, you know what? If I go out every day and I just try to build my network and make new friends, it's all going to come together. But if I go out, if I wake up every day and say, I'm going to go out recruiting, not so much. Not so much. When you just really expand your pipeline and you think about the goal that I have in networking every day is really talking to people so that they begin to have an interest in me and an interest in Scentsy. They start to have a desire to learn more about what I do. And then I leave them always with a good feeling about us and a good feeling about Scentsy. And then the ultimate goal, that overarching goal, is that when I make all these friends, it's going to expand my pipeline, and then I'm going to have all these leads that I can do business with over time. And the reality is, it's a numbers game. You just have to get in front of enough people. And oftentimes, we really don't get in front of enough people. And so one of the things that I can do, one of the nuggets that I can give you tonight to get in front of enough people is a process, a strategy that I started using years ago when I was in the field called 10-10-10. When I started doing 10-10-10, my business exploded. It grew exponentially. Because what I started to do was I started to become consistent and intentional in the way that I built relationships with people. I started to realize very quickly that I wasn't really present in my own life. And I'll share that with you in just a minute. But I want to give you the concept of 10-10-10 first. And 10-10-10 is really taking 3 columns and saying, where do I go on a weekly basis? Who do I see when I go to those places? And what do I know about those people that I meet? And the reality is that every one of us should be going at least 10 places every week if we really want to build a business. And if you struggle with saying, you know what, Lisa, I can't even put 10, I don't even think I go 10 places, then my advice to you is to get out more, to be present, to experience life a little bit more fully. So on Saturday or Sunday, you just might want to make your list of 10, the 10 places that you go on a regular basis, then 10 people that correspond with each of those places. So if I'm sitting at the soccer game, I know I always sit next to Sally Smith, right? And don't really know anything about her. I just know her name is Sally Smith. School drop-off, oh my gosh, there's that lady with the gorgeous, long, curly red hair. Don't know her name. I'm going to write her down. My party, I don't know yet. Maybe I know my host, but I don't know anybody else. So the goal is that over the course of a week, your goal is to find out one thing about each of those people that you didn't already know. And when you do that, you guys, oh my gosh, you're going to get so good at having conversations. You're going to get so good at being present. And the reality is when you get to know people and you start to build a relationship, what is one of the first things that they ask you? What do you do? What do you do? It's a morbid curiosity. We all want to know what each other does. And so oftentimes you don't have to go for the jugular and force Scentsy down their throat. The natural course of the universe and the fact that you're connecting as people will bring you there together. And then you can talk about what connects you. So if there's one thing that you really want to put into practice this week, it's really to try 10-10-10, to kind of make it your homework for this week and say, you know what, for the next week, I'm going to really focus on 10-10-10 and I'm going to see what it does for my business. Because the reality is that so often we're not present. And so I want to ask you this question. It's something that it changed my life years ago when I really realized that I was not present in my own life. And the way that I found this out was I listened to a philanthropist speak in my hometown. At the time I listened to him speak, he was 97 years old. And I really wanted to hear what he had to say because he had done so many things for our town. I thought, wow, this guy's got to be, he's got to have some, infinite wisdom to share with me. And so what he said was, it wasn't until I was 93 years old that I was present in my own life. I knew a lot of people, but I didn't know a lot of people. You guys, that first slide tonight where you saw heads explode, that's what happened in my head. My head exploded. I thought, oh my gosh, that's me. I know a lot of people, but I don't know a lot of people. I was a huge recruiter at the time, but I was like on autopilot. And I wasn't making an intentional relationship. So I thought, wow, I know so many people, but I don't really know them. Right about this time, within a couple of weeks, one of my best friends growing up was killed in a motorcycle accident. And the cool thing about Mary was we had kept in touch over the years through Christmas cards and Facebook, and just the connection, the kind of person that she was, which was very full of life. She had this way of making you feel really special. And I always felt like she was one of my best friends, right? I probably even said to people she was my best friend, even though I hadn't seen her in years, but we still kind of kept in touch. When I went to her calling hours, which, by the way, people were like lined up all the way down the street and around the corner. It just takes me back every time I think about this. But just talking to people online, they all thought they were her best friend. And I remember thinking, well, you can't be her best friend because I'm her best friend. And I thought, wow, what a gift that was. I left that night thinking, would anybody line up down the street for my calling hours and say that I was their best friend? And I really wasn't sure because I was just so on autopilot. And I woke up a couple of nights later and I had this epiphany and I thought, oh my gosh, I know what my problem is, you guys. I am driving through my life. I am driving through my life. I am not being present. I'm on autopilot. I'm not connecting with people. The recruits that I was recruiting were very superficial. I wasn't connecting with them. They weren't sticking. They weren't staying with the business. And so the reality was I had to make a change. And so I said, you know what, for 6 months, I am not going to drive through anywhere. I'm going to walk through every place. So I took it really literally because I needed to be focused. I needed to be present. The very first person that I talked to after I made this decision is I went into the dry cleaner that I had been going into for years and always talked to Sarah, who's always happy, who's always smiling, very personable person. And I said, you know what? I walked in that day. I remember this morning, I walked in and I said, you know, Sarah, you are the most upbeat, positive, happy person I've ever met. And I don't know anything about you. And that's my miss. Everything changed after that, you guys, everything. First of all, she's one of my friends today, one of my good friends. We hang out, but it changed my business. And the cool thing is, when you are present in your own life, your business will grow exponentially, but your life, your whole life will become richer. So if you can identify with this person, if you can identify, if you're the power shopper that's in the grocery store, that's always, you know, if your head is constantly in your phone, you're not present and you're missing opportunities to connect with people. We know that people are always going to do business with us when they can answer yes to 3 questions. Can you help me? Can I trust you? Did we make some kind of connection? Did we start to build a relationship? And the way that they answer those questions, you guys, is when you connect with them and you're present. This is your personal brand. This is the big step in your personal brand. When someone says, oh my gosh, Melissa, Shelley, I know they can help me. I know I can trust them. I feel connected to them. They're the Scentsy people. They're going to reach out and you're going to build a business. So making connections in our business is about building relationships. And sometimes what we do is we rush the relationship because we make it more about us than about the other person. And we're not present. We're pushing it. We're forcing it. It's what I call going for the jugular. If you ever had somebody come up to you and recruit you and say, oh my gosh, you are so stinking cute. You got to be on my team. I want you. Like, they don't even know you. They're going for the jugular. They're rushing the relationship. We're in the people business, you guys. We're not in the warmer and wax business. We're in the people business, selling warmers, wax, and so much more. The people business is first. And when you make it about other people, it always comes back to you. So I'm kind of going through a lot of concepts. Anybody have any questions, comments before I go on to my next little nugget?
Well, Lisa, I know that you had us do this for FitBiz with the 10-10-10. It really, really works. I got in so much trouble yesterday when I went to the bank for the first time in like 2 weeks. I went inside. Where have you been? We've been flagging you down in the drive-up. I've seen your car go through the ATM. We need some wax.
I know, it's crazy, right?
I got my phone number, but we need you to come in. Okay, we'll not go through the drive-through with the bank ever again, ever.
I know, it's totally crazy because once you start that, Shelley, you are so right, because when I drive through now too, I'll have people like lean through the window and they'll be like, hey, come on in. And you're like, oh gosh, because when you start it, you realize the connections that you make. That is such a great point. Thanks for sharing that.
I got in so much trouble today.
I love it. I love it. Any other comments or questions before I jump into the last, because I know we're running short on time. Are we? How much time do I have?
We will probably end right a few minutes before 10 or right
Cool.
at 10.
I'm right on track then.
Yay, thanks.
Okay. So here's another concept that I want to share with you tonight. And one of the things that I see, so we've talked about a lot of different things. We've talked about, building relationships. We've talked about connecting. We've talked about our passion. So many different things about the business, our board of directors, keeping everybody connected, having that support structure. Here's one of the things that what I see when I do, and I've seen this not just with Scentsy, but with other companies I've been with, inside a party, inside a real life party, sometimes what happens is you guys get so crazy busy, you're trying to juggle so many balls at once that you drop balls when it comes to really helping your customers, walking them through their purchase decision. And what happens is what we do in this business is we dangle a lot of carrots, we throw a lot of stuff out there, but we never really pull it back. So what if you actually walked your customers, your guests, your hosts through not only the purchase decision on selling, the booking decision on being a host, and the recruiting decision. So are you really closing that deal that you could on selling the products, on bookings, and on our earning opportunity? So I had this epiphany a couple of years ago. I have lots of epiphanies in case you haven't noticed. I sleep very little and I think all the time. So I'm always writing things down. So I was walking by a dress shop when I was prospecting in Virginia Beach. Never forget this. Took a group of consultants out prospecting in Virginia Beach, walked by this dress shop, and I was like, oh my gosh, it like came to me. It's like, it was so cool. So I thought, wow, how do you get from seeing a dress in the window or your favorite outfit or whatever you want to buy? I don't even care if it's a couch. How do you get from seeing something that you love in the window to actually coughing up your credit card and buying it? There's so many things that go through your mind when you make a purchase decision on anything, whether it's the decision to start a business, the decision to buy a product, the decision to host a party. You actually see the dress in the window. So I'm going to use the dress analogy so that you can kind of follow along with me. You see the dress in the window. You're like, okay, it's in my size, or I love the color. You walk in, it's in your size. You like the price. Okay, I'm going to go try it on. You try it on. Do I love it for the price? Does it fit me like a glove? Do I have to lose weight? So many different things. And when you actually can get past all of that and you say, okay, this all matches, this all fits, well, then you pay for it. So I want you to think about this. Are you closing the deal on selling the products that your guests want in their homes? And are you using this as a booking opportunity? So I want you to kind of give you some words, not necessarily words that you're going to use, but words to think about so that you can say, am I doing something like this? If I was selling a product, I want to walk them through the purchase decision. Now that you've seen these wonderful products tonight in Mary's home, I want you to think about which products you can see being useful in your own home. You know, how they might make a season more festive, a room more beautiful, or a family party just full of amazing scents. These are the products you want to choose right away. I'm going to give you time to circle them now. You're walking them through the purchase decision. You're saying you got to put those on your wish list. Circle them because you want to be able to sell, right? You want to be able to get them to walk through that purchase decision and be able, not because it's so crazy and fast and furious at the party, but give them that time to do it. The same thing with hosting a party. Oh my gosh, it's been such a fun night. And I would love to come to your home and host a fun evening just like I did here tonight. Now, when you host a party with Scentsy and you pick your date tonight, I get to give our host, Kathy, credit for that. And then I get to come and spoil you just like I did Kathy. Now, I also know that you can see yourself using so many of the products in your own home. So you definitely have to know how our host plan works. And then at that time, you would walk them through the host plan and you would say, okay, circle those products again. And then you can talk to them later about how they can use the host opportunity to get the products that they want. But let's think about how your guests, they really have to be able to see themselves using the products in their homes. When they can actually picture that product in their home, making a room more amazing, they're going to buy it. When they can picture more products than they can afford, then they're going to want to host a party. And as far as being a consultant, when they can actually sit and think, gosh, could I do this? I think I might be able to. Well, then they're going to want to be a consultant. But how do you actually get them to see themselves in your role? Your goal is to really paint the picture. Paint the picture so clear they can see it for themselves. So it might sound something like this. I want you to think for just a moment about what a Scentsy business can mean for you and your family. I want you to think about what that extra income could do for you. And I want you to think about how much fun it could be. Now, I bet some of you in the room tonight could see yourself loving their job, working on their own terms, and getting paid to have fun here, just like I did this evening. And I know that you have a place in your heart or your home for this amazing company. I really want to talk to you. But even if you don't have a place in your heart or your home, I know you may know somebody that does. So I want you to think about how this business might be able to impact and benefit them. You really get them to start thinking, wow, do I know somebody? Could I do this? Is this something for me? Because you're actually walking them through the process. At your shop and share, when everybody's, shopping and sharing and you're talking to people and you're getting their orders, typically what we do is we ask a question like, hey, have you ever thought about the business, or would you like to start a business? The question you want to ask them is, when you heard me talk about how much fun I have in my business and that I love to share what I do with others, here's the sentence, you guys. What was the first thing that came to your mind? You want to know what's in their thought process, what might be stopping them, what they're thinking. And a yes or no, a question that answers yes or no is not going to give you that. And when they tell you, when they say something, you don't necessarily have to take what they say and go, okay. If someone tells me, you know what I'm thinking is I am super busy. So I'm not going to just necessarily say, okay, you're busy, or, oh, we love busy people and you should be able to do this because busy people know lots of people. No, the question then becomes, wow, Shelly, you're busy. Tell me a little bit more about that. You want to know exactly what she means when she says she's busy so that you can actually offer a suggestion or maybe have a solution. And when she tells you that, when she gives you a little more description, rather than just let it go at that, you want to be able to restate it to her so that she hears exactly what she told you. So she's actually, you and the person, he or she, are on the same page. So gosh, Shelly, if I heard you correctly, you know what, you've got so much going on. Your kids are graduating from school this year. Your father's been sick. See, you start to have, what you're doing is you're developing a relationship. And you're actually having a conversation and you're deciding right then and there, is this the opportunity for them? Or do I want to give them a pass because it's not the right time for them now? And you're doing what's in their best interest, right? Not what's in your best interest, but what's in their best interest. And trust me, when you do that, it will always come back to you. The last thing I want to leave you with, because I know we're running short on time, we have just a couple of minutes, is the follow-up. So one of the other things that we tend to miss is following up with people. And what you might be surprised to know is that many, many times when I've taken consultants out prospecting over the years, they get these leads that I'm like, wow, these are such solid leads. And these people are really excited. When I call them back and follow up, say, how did that go? How did those conversations go? They'll tell me, oh, I didn't get around to it. Oh, I didn't know what to say when I called them back. You guys, 79% of leads are never even followed up on. That's huge. And the reality is, when you think about following up and you think about it relative to recruiting, if you don't make time to call your leads, they're not probably going to call you. You're going to have those infrequent leads that call you because they really want to start a Scentsy business, but that's infrequent. You have to take the lead with your leads and call them. And then when you do, you want to have these passionate words that exude confidence and passion for the business. And you want your excitement, that tennis ball, that passion that you would put on your t-shirt, to really speak volumes to them. And so one of the things that I suggest is, as you start to call people back for the day, or you start to call your leads back, leave that first message for yourself. Leave that short, fun, pithy message for yourself, and listen to your message and ask yourself, would I call me back? If you wouldn't call yourself back, you probably need to get your head in a different place, or you need to readjust your message, or you need to figure out a different plan. But that can be so powerful when you actually hear your voice and say, oh, I don't really sound a little bit nervous. I don't sound as excited as I want to. There's always the battle of the words in everything that we do. we tend to say things like, oh, how does that sound? Which is really more passive than, oh my gosh, Melissa, I remember when we met you last week. Girl, I have not been able to get you out of my mind. I know you're interested in this business. How can we make this happen? Confidence, right? Oh, would you like to start a business? Or when you heard me talk about how much I love this business and what it's done for me and my family, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Or we'll say things like, okay, I understand, versus tell me a little bit more about that. The battle of the words can actually take you down a completely different path. And oftentimes we're very passive in the way that we follow up. We're afraid, we procrastinate, we don't call people back, just like I mentioned a few minutes ago. What are you guys really afraid of when you don't call your leads back? Because timing is everything. A warm lead becomes a frigid lead in 24 hours. And it becomes like an iceberg in 48 hours. But so oftentimes we don't call them back. And I don't know, I gotta tell you, in all the years that I've recruited tons and tons of people, I've never had anybody kick me, bite me, spit on me, punch me when I've tried to recruit them, right? So what are you really afraid of? They're not gonna kill you. And then what about your recruiting approach? I remember one time when I was coaching a district sales manager, and she called me. She was so proud of herself. She said, "You're going to be so proud of me. I made these little sticky notes. I got them from Vistaprints, and they're like stickies, and they have my contact information, and I put them on the back of every bathroom stall in the city." I'm like, wow, how's that working for you? Like, we're so afraid to speak to someone, or we leave little things on someone's cart or on a car because we'd rather leave it behind than actually talk to someone. So wanted to leave you with some follow-up stats. 2% of sales are made on the first contact, but 80% of sales are not made until the 5th to the 12th contact. Okay, 79% of leads are never even followed up on, and 48% of salespeople never follow up with any prospect that they said they would. So 79% of leads are never even followed up on, but then 48% of people who said, I'm going to call you back, never even do it. What does that do for your personal brand and your business? 12% of salespeople, only 12% make more than 3 contacts, but 80% of the sales are made on the 5th to the 12th. That's powerful, you guys. You have a multitude, a plethora of ways to contact people. You can text them. You can leave them a little pithy message. You can Marco Polo them. You can do all kinds of fun things, right? When you get to know people. And so there's lots of different ways that you can follow up. So